Welcome back, everyone. This is Politics Tonight. Thank you so much for staying with us all the way. Tonight, our focus is on dollar illiquidity and matters arising, and I've been speaking with Ayobami Oyalowo, a development economist. Mr. Oyalowo, thank you so much for staying with us on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
All right, so let's move on quickly. Economists like yourself say commercial banks in Nigeria have profited massively from forex revaluation gains since 2023. So let me ask you, do you think there are too many commercial banks in Nigeria?
No. I don't think we have too many banks. When I started my own banking career, we had 89 banks. I think now we have about 34, 35. So I don't think we have too many. For 200 million people, we don't have too many banks. What we have is there is no supervision for the banks. We had Joseph Sanusi, a very fine gentleman, when we first started this democracy under General Olusegun Obasanjo. Then we had Professor Soludo. Then we had Sanusi. After then, we have not had a serious CBN governor. What we've had has been a joke, and I'm sorry to say this on air, but it's been a disaster in the last administration with the man who ran the bank. Because why did I say this? I remember when I was on the bank, if you are caught doing what you call round tripping, the bank get punished. And there are different levels of sanction for different level of infraction. But for the past 8 years, under the man who is now standing trial for all manner of corrupt charges, we didn't have a single bank punished because it was free for all. This is why I am angry, because every sensible adult in Nigeria should know that there are supervisory role for CBN that needs to be carried out. But CBN completely jettisoned its role and it just jumped into the fray, and this is why we are today. So I want the CBN to go back to what it used to be, a CBN that is supervising banks, ensuring banks are there to correct standard practices. We didn't have that under the man that left. I don't want to call his name because I am really trying to be very civil because I'm on air. What I witnessed as a former banker is a disaster that should never be allowed in any country that sane people are inhabiting. We had all manner of nonsense, illegality, all because the CBN jettisoned his role and allowed everybody to be running headless without anybody telling people to do the right thing. So I want to see a CBN that will sit in his role as a CBN and ensure that banks do what banks ought to do. So we don't have too many banks. About 35 banks, for me, is not too much. In fact, we can have more. But what we need to have is a CBN that is completely sitting down there as the head and doing what it ought to do, ensuring that standard practices are adhered to.
Right, so let's lay it bare. And this is about talking about going back to what the CBN used to be. The central bank will hold its first monetary policy meeting since July on February 26 to 27. What are your expectations?
Well, because of the challenges, my expectation, I think they are going to raise the rates to a large extent to try and curtail the insane level of inflation we are having. Then after some time, I see a stability maybe in the third quarter, starting from the third quarter. I think we're going to start stabilizing and getting better because the CBN will have to, from what they are doing, what the leadership of CBN is doing now, trying to clear the backlog and all the mess that they met in that place. By the time they are able to clear all the backlog of FX and then begin to ensure that banks take their preeminent place and we do not have to do transactions in billions from one malam or from one man that we don't know their names in the name of BDCs, then they're not even BDCs. Some of them are not even licensed. Most of the people running around now are not licensed. So you don't even know what is going on anywhere in the foreign exchange market. It's a jungle out there. So this should be stopped forthwith. Let the CBN license a few BDCs that they can control and ensure that they are there strictly to rules and regulation. If that is done, I see the CBN, after their MPR, I mean, they're going to have the monetary policy, okay, it's MPR, the monetary policy meeting soon. When they do that, I'm sure they're going to raise rates, and like I said, which is not going to be uhuru yet, but if they stick to this narrow path they have decided to put themselves, which is the right path, maybe by the third quarter, when they will have another one, we should be talking of more stability in the financial sector.
Right. So earlier you talked about whether or not we should be operating a naira economy or dollar economy. And for you, you've said CBN must make that decision now. So that will lead me to asking for your opinion on the amendments of the Foreign Exchange Act or the CBN Act 2007. What wonders can this perform, especially for the amendments of the CBN Act to prohibit the use of foreign currency in local transactions in Nigeria?
Does it really need an amendment? The act is already there. It is because we flout all rules and regulation. Every transaction, I've been to some countries, I don't want to mention on air, and then because, of course, we're traveling for Nigeria, we went with dollars, and you try to buy things in dollars, and they tell you, no, we don't take that here. They will tell you the closest bank is so-and-so, go change it, take our currency, then come and buy there. That is what sensible countries do. But here, even Nigerians themselves are pricing goods and services in dollars. I saw one house, I won't mention the area, they finished, I was trying to take a renters there, and they gave me I can take anybody there as a witness. They gave me the price of renter in dollars in this Abuja. How sensible is that? So we cannot run our economy like people who don't have sense. We have to tell ourselves the truth. So yes, the CBN Act of 2007 should be enforced to the letter. Every transaction in Nigeria must be carried out in naira. Then, like I said, all dollars in the system should be withdrawn and brought back to the banks. If you need dollar for legitimate transaction, there are ways to handle it. After the grace period has elapsed, anybody who is caught with dollar should be treated like a criminal. And I also say this on air. If you report a crime of dollar theft, the police should arrest you as a criminal. They shouldn't even look for the money because you are not supposed to have dollars in Nigeria. So yes, that CBN Act should be fully enforced so that this sanity we are trying to bring back will prevail. But until we do that, we will continue to have the level of insanity we have, and then we are all complaining. Everybody has been complaining, but everybody wants to profit from the criminal act that is going on. Until we all tell ourselves the truth. Everybody is shouting dollar is high, but everybody wants to make sure that they're able to. In fact, I keep seeing people say, oh, go and change your money to dollar. By next week, it will go up to. I mean, what kind of people do that to themselves and then still cry that there's problem on ground? Who do that to himself? You keep, like Yoruba say, you are stealing your own potash by yourself. You are doing yourself and then you expect somebody else to cry. It doesn't make sense. So we need to get back to the basics if we want to find lasting solution to our problems.
Thank you for your perspective so far. Let's now move away from the CBN. How do you react to the rising cost of goods and services in the country?
Yeah, let's start from food, which is the biggest challenge, because I'm a Yoruba man, and my adage says that when hunger is taken away from your poverty is almost completely solved. So the food inflation we are having now is because we are a country of people who like to be wicked to themselves. And I'm going to explain it to you. If you remember during the COVID-19 problem in 2020, an ordinary face mask that cost 50 naira, we started selling it for 5,000 naira to ourselves. And then we will say, things are high. But who is making it high? Nigerians are the ones doing themselves. This morning, you can go to the market and you buy a cup of rice for, let's say, 500 naira. And then suddenly, all the marketers will call themselves. By the time you go back by 12 noon, they will change the price to 2,000 naira. And then we will shout, it has gone up. So I am fully in support of what the Vice President said, that we are going to have a regulatory board. Because Nigerians themselves have proven that we are people that cannot regulate ourselves. We are very recalcitrant. And I'll give you another example. We are people that when there is a red light on traffic, driving in traffic, somebody that who will still run the red light like a lunatic, as if we don't know that the next thing that can cause is an accident. But that is who we are. So you have to practically force Nigerians to do the right thing. Yes, dollar is high, but how does the price of dollar affect the price of water? Water that you are bottling in your home. Suddenly, we have increased price of water. and then we say it's dollar. So we have increased the price of tomato, and we say it's dollar. We have increased the price of gari. Are you importing the gari, or are you buying the cassava from London or America? So this is the kind of problems that you will come across when you have a people who themselves don't like themselves, who want to profit from the pain of other people. People who have built their houses in the last 20, 30 years will just wake up tomorrow and say we have increased rent because dollar has gone up. This is the kind of people we are. So there must be some form of regulation to ensure that we do the right thing. But aside that, the food inflation can easily be handled if, one, states start to do their job. I saw some governors of a particular party claiming that there is problem in the land. But this governor did not tell their people that, one, in the past, how many years have we had 30,000 naira as minimum wage? These governors, half of them, if not 80% of them, have not been paying that minimum wage as we speak. I think it is a PDP governor, I think so, yes. They have not been paying minimum wage. Go to many of their states. I will use one small example. Look at the Bayelsa, which is a PDP state. Bayelsa has 8 local government. Bayelsa will owe salaries, they will owe emolument, they will owe pension, they will owe old people their gratuity. And then they will come back and say, the federal government is causing hardship. But you have not paid salaries. And you know that if you pay salary to your people, you pay pension, you pay gratuity, and you do project, money will come into the system and people will have money. Why don't we have money around? Because when cost is rising, the only way to keep it down or to make it amenable is for people to be able to buy. But when you don't pay salaries, you don't pay pension, you don't do project, when you collect your FAC and you go and change it to dollar and keep it under your bed, and then you are shouting, is it Tinubu that will come and pay the pension of your state people? So these are the challenges. Our governors have completely abdicated their roles. I told some of my friends yesterday, I said, look, the federal government does not have an inch of land. Every land belongs to the state and local government. What are our states doing to drive development and to drive food security? Right. None of the states is interested in agriculture.
Mr. Ayalowo, we'll come back to that because that's a big conversation. I would like us to dwell on that for a minute before we leave tonight. I mean, you raised the point earlier, and this is because there's been this argument about who takes the blame, government or the sellers. Are you saying the sellers should take the larger portion of the blame?
Am I saying the who?
Are you saying sellers should take the larger portion of the blame when it comes to rising cost of food in the country?
No, seller. I am not here to apportion who takes the blame. I've just told you the challenges of everybody. If the government, especially led by the state governors, have been able to drive agriculture and we have enough food, then you can now sit down as a state and say, look, all the rice produced in this state, we will buy it at this social price and then we will sell at this social price. That way, you are able to keep the price within acceptable limit. But the state governors have refused to remember that they are part of the government. They actually see themselves detached from the reality. So they think the problem should be thrown completely to Abuja. So the state government must take a larger role in ensuring there is food security in Nigeria. So why we are having this problem is because nobody is doing anything about solving the problems. So the marketers just sit down. Just today, I was sitting in my group. Somebody said cement was so and so XYZ amount in the morning. By evening, they have increased it. What exactly is driving the price of cement up? Are we importing the cement? No. Are the cement that we are buying, are they produced in Nigeria? Yes. All the raw materials for the cement, are they imported? No. Everything used in the cement production is gotten locally. So why is the price of cement moving from 5,000 to 8,000 overnight? We are just a bunch of wicked people that like to wicked ourselves. So why our government is being irresponsible? We, the people themselves, ourselves, are being wicked to ourselves. So it's a conundrum. So we must sit down and have this honest conversation. Why are we being harsh and wicked to ourselves? I understand there are some materials that you cannot handle. For instance, I know bread sellers are complaining. Yes, but anybody who has been following, you know that we have not been producing any wheat in Nigeria. So most of the wheat of the world, about 70 to 80% of the wheat that the world is eating, not just Nigeria, comes from two places, Ukraine and Russia. And those two people have refused to have sense to stop fighting themselves. So the price of wheat have gone up. So what should we have done as a country? it is understandable that some part of Nigeria can actually support the growing of wheat. But what are the state governors doing to see that my own state will be the highest wheat producer in Nigeria? They don't care. They just collect their FAQ, change the money to dollars, and then go and sing Umbaya, and then we're all shouting there's problem. Until we begin to take ownership of our problems, we should grow our wheat so that the bread price will come down. Some states led in rice at the time. We had the Kebbi and Lagos State competition that produced lake rice for Lagosians. Where has that plan gone to? There are rice mills open all over Nigeria. They are not getting paddy rice to mill. Where are these rice being, where are they? So these are the problems that we have refused to face. Everybody wants Abuja to solve their problem. States should sit down and begin to think of how to produce food. Make sure that I take care of my state, and then when it comes to policy issue, leave it to the federal government. But in terms of production, food especially, the Nigerian state governors have been irresponsible for too long. We need to call them to order. Begin to produce food for your state. Many of them don't even pay taxes. They don't pay salaries. So where will the solution come from? So these are the challenges that we have refused to look at. Everybody is just sitting down and complaining. We have become the #1 country of complainers. Nobody wants to solve the problem.
Mr. Oyalowo, thank you so much for going there, because, it's a fact that every state in Nigeria can boast of at least 2 products.
Or at least 2 agricultural products, yes.
Right. For Niger State, for example, is the world's largest producer of shea nuts butter. Ondo State produces 65% of Nigeria's cocoa, and Nigeria is rated as the world's 6th largest exporter of cocoa. How do we hold these state governors accountable?
That is why I'm saying it on air, so that Nigerians will hear. Go and hold your governors to account. They have not been doing anything. When we had the federation when we are doing regional government, the Southwest government, it wasn't Southwest then, it used to be the Western region. They were the largest producer of cocoa in the world then. That is why we have the cocoa house in Ibadan. Today, our state governors don't even know what their state can produce, because they want to collect FAQ, change it to dollars, and do nothing. So Nigerians, please hear me out. Your governors have been very wicked to you, and I will explain. Since the federal government took out subsidy from fuel, your state governors have received at least more than 60% than they used to receive in terms of their allocation. They are still not paying salaries. What is the use of a governor that cannot pay salary when even some states were collecting 1.something billion, now they are collecting 5-6. Some states, especially the ones that they are oil producer, look at Delta, Bayelsa State, for instance, it is the highest collector in terms of FAQ. It is the smallest state, yet that state has plenty problem that is not solving. So how will you solve problem when you have more money than that was coming in? You must give it to this government. Since they remove subsidy, our governors have had more money coming to them. But trust me, they have done nothing to touch the life of Nigerians. So everybody is sitting now in their home and cursing one man as if he's the cause of all the problem. Yes, he caused some of his own problem by removing the subsidy and not telling Nigerians that, look, your governors have more money. Go and hold them. He has even given some palliative. When they gave palliative in terms of grain last year to governors, we didn't see anything. We didn't see. They get to some senator in December. As we speak, we have not seen many of them. In fact, we didn't even know, except a few senators who are honest, said they gave me so and so and so to chat to my people. So this is the problem. So Nigerians need to know that our problem is multidimensional. It's not just one way. We have plenty wicked people that are in power and they are not caring about the people. But when election comes, they will tell us, come and vote for us, because Tinubu is the only problem of Nigeria.
As we wrap up tonight, we can wrap up with this, Mr. Oyalowo, but then let's be very specific. What kinds of targeted interventions do you expect from state governors to their people?
Okay, firstly, like subsidy has been removed, I expect state governors, one, because they have more money, I expect, one, they should pay all the allowances and salaries they are owing. Secondly, I expect them to intervene in terms of public transportation. If public transportation is working, there will be less reliance on buying fuel for each and every car on the road. Then the punishment will be reduced. Then I also expect just 3 things. Pay salary. I expect intervention in transportation. I expect each governor of each state to look at what can my state produce, and we have what we call comparative advantage. Drive that aspect of development. Drive it. If it's rice your state can produce, drive it massively. And finally, I expect these state governors to do a lot of infrastructural projects and development. When you do that, what that means is that there are more money in that state for people to spend. If you do infrastructure, artisans will get money. The Yaoni rice that will come and sell rice there will make more money. If you pay salary, fathers will be able to pay school fees of their children. I mean, there will be multiplier effect. But the governors have not done anything. People must know that your governor have received at least 60% more than they were receiving before the removal of subsidy. But your governors have done nothing to ameliorate your pay. Apart from just 2 or 3 states, most other states have been very wicked to their people. They don't even pay salaries. That is how evil some of these people are. So these are the challenges. Pay salaries, drive whatever produce is your own biggest advantage, and finally, let there be intervention in terms of transportation and infrastructure, and you will see a lot of difference from where we are to where we will be going in the next short days if the governors decide to become governors, not just money collector every month.
Very emotional one there. Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, that's needed because Nigerians are really, really struggling out there. Thank you so much, Mr. Oyalowo, for joining us.
I'm also struggling. I'm a part of Nigeria. We're all struggling. So we need to tell ourselves the truth.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.